Hi, my name is Adam Whitmer. I'm the founder and host here at ComplianceCohort.com. This compliance clip is going to talk about Reg E disputes for older transactions. In other words, when we have a transaction a customer is disputing from a couple years ago. For example, I recently received this question. It says, are we required to give a customer provisional credit for a dispute on a transaction that is 2 years old? So the customer has waited and waited and waited, and now they want to suddenly dispute a transaction and say, hey, this TV that was purchased by somebody a couple years ago wasn't me. So I want to dispute that and I want my money back. Well, the TV may not even work anymore if it's 2 years old, since TVs only last a couple of months nowadays. At least that's what the Best Buy salesmen are telling us. So this is the scenario we might get. Now, the answer to this, of course, is going to come from Regulation E, and it's technically going to come from Section 1005.11b. So let's take a look at the commentary, specifically Comment 7 to 1005.11b1. And the Comment 7 here says this. It says that it talks about the effect of late notice. It says an institution is not required to comply with the requirements of this section for any notice of error from the consumer that is received by the institution later than 60 days from the date on which the periodic statement first reflecting the error is sent. Now, it does say where the customer's assertion of error involves an unauthorized EFT, however, and of course the however is the key here, the institution must comply with 1005.6 before it may impose any liability on the consumer. So what the heck is this talking about? Well, first of all, it's important to understand that 1005.11b1, which is the citation here, is the section that talks about procedures for resolving errors. So what it's saying here is when you have a dispute on an error that took place more than 60 days from when the date on which the periodic statement that first reflected the error was sent, so that statement was sent over 60 days ago, then what we're talking about here is, do we have to comply? We don't have to comply with 1005.11b1, which again is the procedures for resolving errors. So what this means is, if the statement was over 60 days, we don't have to comply with those procedures for resolving errors. Now, what does that really mean? Well, that means we don't have to get provisional credit. We don't have to send a notice within a couple days. We don't have to resolve it within 45 or 90 days, depending on the type of error. We don't have to send a final notice. We don't have to comply with that section at all. That's what this is saying, if it's an older dispute. Now, it's important to understand this key, however, that's noted here, because it says, however, if the customer's error involves an unauthorized EFT. So what we're talking about here is a fraudulent transaction, something they did not authorize that meets the definition of unauthorized EFT under the definition section of Regulation E. Then we do still have to comply with 1005.6 of Regulation E. What is 1005.6? That is the section that talks about consumer liability. So what this is saying is we cannot hold the consumer liable for a transaction that was disputed past that 60-day time frame if it was an unauthorized EFT. So if you have an unauthorized EFT, what this is saying is you still have to research the transaction and potentially refund the customer, depending on your investigation, of course. But you still have to do that even if they give you a dispute that's 2 years old. So let me try to rephrase this and put this in as simple language as I can on the fly, which is really hard to do. So if we have a transaction that's super old, dude, the simple layman's terms here, if we have a transaction that's super old, dude, we still have to potentially give the customer their money back, because we still have to conduct an investigation even if the dispute is super old. Now, what we don't have to do is we don't have to give them provisional credit. We don't have to send them notices. We don't have to do it within 45 or 90 days. But what we have to do is conduct the investigation within a reasonable time frame that would appease the examiners. And if we find that it truly was fraud or technically an unauthorized EFT, which is under the definition of Regulation E, then we would have to give the customer their money back, because there's really no time limit on giving the customer their money back and conducting that investigation, except that we don't have to comply with those time restrictions under 1005.11. So what we do have to do is still comply with 1005.6, which is the consumer liability section. It's very complicated. I hope this broke it down into layman's terms. I hope you understand it just a little bit better, but that is what it is. And that's all I have for you in this compliance clip. So I hope that made sense. Now, if you're new to the compliance cohort, which some of you might be, I want you to take a look at our website. We have a ton of free videos just like this, ton of free articles. All you have to do is sign up to be a free member. It's our basic membership. It's absolutely free. You get free articles, free videos, bunch of free alerts, different things, discounts, things like that. So consider signing up. If you're an existing member, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. You are why we do what we do. We just hope that we're making your life a little bit easier. That's all I have for now. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.